have no idea what any of these mean, so I guess you have to figure it out.
Me either.
Oh, these are stat subtypes. It's how you build your character. It's the basis for your player character's power set. I tend to think that Obfuscate is a good middle ground. It allows stealth to function a bit easier, gives you a bit of an advantage when hunting to try and keep your blood up. But Animism is really good in a fight, so depending on if you're trying to lean more towards stealth, combat, or power sets, and use of magic, that's how you're gonna choose. What are you trying to lean towards?
I do like that one. This one.
That's a good choice.
Oh.
Yes, keep those on.
Yes!
Go ahead, Rachel.
D'Angelo's Bureau, if you can even call it that, feels more like a rough draft of an asteroid belt. Suggesting it's shabby almost gives it too much credit, as if there's some hidden allure to the mess, which there definitely isn't. His head is cocked thoughtfully, beady eyes piercing me right through. Does this acute interest stem from the matter I brought in? Or does he simply enjoy watching me wriggling in this wretched chair? I'd ask, but underneath the repulsive mask of his face, I notice something that looks a lot like fear. A detail I pocket for later. A strong, synthetic odor taints the still air. The world is moving forward, but this crap reeks worse than your average smoke. And the way he squashes those many cigs in the ashtray, it's clear D'Angelo's struggling to shake off old habits. Not that I'm one to throw stones, but he's quite the character. Useful, but infuriating too at times. Like right now, for example.
Let me just get this straight. You lost your sire, eh?
Am I speaking in riddles? Did my words evaporate before hitting your ears? He rolls his eyes so theatrically, you'd think he's auditioning for a noir play.
Is my way of cracking the case, you know. I'm here to lend you a hand, Callie. Now, come on. Spill the beans, lay it all out.
That's the issue. He just flaked on our meeting, and I don't know why.
Reynard Castle has a knack for vanishing, though. Maybe he had to make himself scarce. Skip town?
He'd have left me a clue, for sure.
He's still relying on those wall tags, the hobo code or whatnot.
Little Chandler here has totally been killing it lately. I mean, I might have casually mentioned the code once or twice, but nothing major. Well, alright, maybe I showed him a symbol, one that's pretty much useless on its own. If Reynard catches wind of me spilling the beans, he's gonna flip. He's like Fort Knox when it comes to our secrets. We do. And I found absolutely zilch. Which doesn't happen, by the way. We never bail on each other when we split up for stuff like this. It's just too dangerous.
Maybe he didn't have a chance to leave a trail. Where were you two supposed to rendezvous?
Feels like I'm on trial here.
You literally asked me to conduct this investigation. What do you expect me to do? Pull an answer out of my ass?
I really don't want to know what he could pull out of his ass, and I intend to tell him as much, but he speaks first.
Besides, I already know your spot. Coney Island, right?
I feel my eyelid twitch. You're bluffing.
I was, but your reaction spilled the whole story.
Maybe dropping by D'Angelo's wasn't such a great plan. Or maybe he's not as useless as I assumed. But he's definitely got me on edge. I shoot him a skeptical glance, but he appears to be elsewhere, lost in his own thoughts. His lips move silently, almost like he's whispering a prayer. What's with the mumbling? He glances at me, genuinely confused.
What mumbling?
You know what? Never mind.
So, you made your way to Coney Island but came up empty-handed. No castle, no trail to follow. Anything noteworthy at all?
Just your typical shady assholes loitering around, clearly up to something. Pretty standard for New York City, as far as I'm aware.
Shady assholes? Who? Kindred?
Regular folks, I think. All twitchy and restless. He furrows his brow, nodding slowly, but seems more in mourning than deep in thought. When he finally speaks, it's not at all what I was expecting to hear.
To be frank, Callie, I'm running short on answers. Your sire seems just temporarily unavailable. Or gone for good. Or something else. Can't say I'm entirely shocked.
He tries to stroll around nonchalantly, but the mess in his bureau just as nonchalantly throws him off balance. It completely ruins his noir vibe. If I shoot him a cheeky grin, but he's too caught up to even notice. Breaking character must have rattled him good.
If I were you, I'd take a leaf out of his book and disappear pronto. In fact, that's exactly what I intend to do once I'm through with my business in the city.
I unpocket the fear I observed a moment ago and give D'Angelo another good, lasting look. He's genuinely terrified, like seriously scared, but there's this hint of desperation too. I've got to tame my inner con artist. She's practically salivating in my head, just waiting to join in. But when things go south, D'Angelo's the buddy you stick with, not somebody you ditch and forget. Gianni, seriously, what's up? I'm kind of freaking out here.
There are too many loose ends to stitch together a complete tale, and frankly, it's too lengthy for just one night anyway. But there's a storm gathering in the city. I've been through some rough patches, but this feels like a whole different kind of trouble.
Cut the cryptic shit, just for once. He looks over my shoulder, lost in thought, like he's figuring out how to drop an anchor on someone who's already drowning.
Our kind has been dropping like flies lately. Nobody seems to be a specific target, but it's hitting mostly Duskborn.
The court
The
dubs
court.
it... Oh, sorry.
The court dubs it the Cullen of Thin Bloods. Real knee slapper they got, those sons of guns. But there's been other victims too.
A chill runs down my dead spine.
Here's the sad reality. New York City has never been as dangerous for Kindred as it is these nights.
Are the sects seriously at each other's throats that hard?
Same old song and dance, right? But this time, there's a curveball, enough to make them halt the hostilities and... You know what? I'll fill you in while we hit the road.
The urge to flee slams me like a freight train. There's something about his tone that almost convinces me to hightail it out of the city. But it's not quite time to make a break for it. I might stick around for a while, so... D'Angelo's visibly concerned. Should I be worried too?
You're really not gonna let him go, huh?
Of course not. I'll find Reynard, come hell or high water. Besides, someone has to handle detective duty since, judging how desperately you want me to drive you out of town, damsel in distress is already taken. D'Angelo tilts his head downward just enough to fix his crooked smile. A smile abandoned by joy long ago.
I know you well enough to not even bother trying to change your mind. But you have a knack for diving headfirst into trouble, so hear me out. Keep your head down, stay off the radar, don't feed willy-nilly, and above all, don't reveal your true nature unless you're 100% sure nobody can see you.
So, the masquerade, basically.
I'm not joking, Collie. Keep low, or else.
Yeah, thanks for the tip. I rise to my feet and wave goodbye as I head out the door. I'll grab you once I've found Reynard. On my own, since you've been such a big help. It takes me a while to actually notice the air around me. Crisp and clear, without the ever-present stench of D'Angelo's nicotine habit. I find it's taking me longer each time to catch on. When will I reach the point where I don't notice it anymore? Reynard's silence and the total lack of hints about his whereabouts bug me way more than I'm ready to say out loud. The streets are deserted. It's like everyone vanished, scared off by the winter chill that mortals seem to hate. The darkness of the night, lit up by bursts of color, is kind of beautiful in a bleak, urban way. But my sire is gone, and I don't know what to do. Back at D'Angelo's, I was all talk, swearing that I'd track down Reynard myself or burn up trying. Pretty sure he saw right through my BS. Were I half as confident as I pretended, I wouldn't feel so utterly lost. In late December, in the big fucking dangerous apple of all places. If D'Angelo's warnings have any weight, maybe it's time to bulk up our supplies. Our coterie. Let's just say we're big on being ready for anything. Reynard's the mastermind behind all our safety nets, making sure we don't even brush close to failure. His obsessive preparedness has pulled us out of the fire more than once. Whenever we're running our gigs, we've got these spots stocked up with goods and let's call it personal protection. One of those hidden caches lies just around the block, if I remember right. It's been ages, but that's probably the first place I should hit up before I go hunting for Reynard. Better safe than in a grave, right? You'd think the subway at 3 a.m. on Christmas night would be a tranquil haven, right? Nope. Think again. It's not exactly a morning rush, but there's still a bunch of people around. Most of them zoned out, clearly buzzed from booze, drugs, or just plain old tiredness. The blood slowly coursing through their veins just beneath the surface of their skin tempts me in ways I cannot describe. I force myself to look away. Not for the dregs of my own mortality, nor because I feel any grand respect for them. It's simpler than that. Too many eyes, too much risk. My crew's unspoken credo. I get off at Coney Island, quickly heading back to the Wonder Wheel, scanning for Reynard's unmistakably flamboyant red overcoat he somehow manages to pull off. No such luck. But maybe he's back at our usual spot. Or perhaps he swung by while I was out and left one of our wall signs. Instead, what greets me is an unsettling number of shady figures prowling around. 3, to be exact, all on edge, looking like they're on some sort of patrol. If they're kindred, they're probably Camarilla, considering this is their territory. It's not that I have an issue with them. Okay, I do, but let's not get into that right now. I'm just not up for socializing. One kindred run and per night is already pushing my limits. Small gesture of my hand, and everything around me falls into silence. My footsteps are as quiet as snow, landing gently on the ground. No swish to my clothes, no jingle to my jewelry. I figuratively hold my breath and go. The figures vanish into the night as I loop around, hastily making my way toward the Wonder Wheel. Reynard isn't there to greet me, and a quick look around yields no wall signs either. I turn on my heel, disappointed, and lock eyes with one of the prowlers I so skillfully dodged. Their gaze is steady, piercing, downright eerie. With no options left, I put on my best con woman face and give them a nonchalant nod before walking away with all the confidence I can muster. Big mistake, it turns out. The prowler lurches forward, chasing me as I break into a run. I've been to this amusement park many times before, so I know it like the back of my hand. I duck and weave through the rides and booths, shaking my pursuer off with ease. I have to leave. Coney Island. Maybe even New York, just as D'Angelo warned. The city's become a no-go zone for kindred. Or at least for me. I'm almost at the entrance to the subway when I notice her. Actually, scratch that. It's my skin that reacts first. Every hair standing on edge as if electrocuted. An alarm blares in my head, screaming danger. Only then do I see her stepping smoothly out of the shadows, gait relaxed and yet somehow predatory.
Enjoyed the rides, sugar?
No idea who she is. And I'm normally spot on at identifying those who prefer me finally dead. It's handy in my line of business. Sorry, we're closed for the night. Guess Yelp forgot to mention they don't serve the night owl crowd here. She doesn't even blink at my quip, and just keeps inching closer. I feel an urge to step back, but a quick side-eye informs me that the prowlers have returned and are standing right behind me.
I'm afraid you're gonna have to come with me.
Sorry, no can do, sugar. Dad always said not to go off with strangers. Her smile stretches wider, but it's devoid of any real humor or warmth. She's only steps away now, and I'm effectively trapped.
Well, the stranger isn't giving you too many options, doll. I'm Valerie Duval, the Scourge of New York. The council has issued an arrest warrant in your name since we've taken interest in your unusual endeavors. With those recent business meetings, you've left a trail of breadcrumbs, too. Too scrumptious not to follow.
The fuck? We barely had time to look around New York, let alone meet up with anyone.
Now, you can either accompany me without a fuss, or... well, let's just leave it at the first option. It's decidedly in your best interest.
She gestures to one of the prowlers behind me. Her henchman, I guess, who brandishes a hefty, sharpened stake. My throat tightens involuntarily. What the fuck does the council want with me? Our crew's business isn't all that against their precious traditions, is it?
I am not without reason, darling. Your move?
Oh, it's my move, ain't it? Because from my viewpoint, all roads seem to end at the tip of that stake. Said tip jabs painfully against my back, right where my heart would be beating madly if it wasn't all shriveled up. Case in point.
The council will undoubtedly release you, following the meticulous inquiry. Of course, this is your final chance.
Alright, Jesus, I'll fucking go with you. Valerie tosses me a so-called smile, the sort that could turn the sun into ice.
Good girl. Now come, the council is waiting.
Now I'm being slammed with some bullshit accusations and hauled to Elysium for interrogation. What the fuck? There's no way I'm playing along. Well, maybe I am, seeing as I'm about to go fang to fang with New York's Ivory Tower. So, this is their joint. The Art Hole. Seriously, could they have picked a more pretentious spot? The Ivory Tower splinter has wedged itself right in the middle of New York City's swankiest row. Welcome to the still heart of the Camarillo's intricate machinations. Here's where the local kindred clink their glasses, all the while plotting each other's demise. Unless, of course, you're with a pariah like me, an outcast from a wrong clan with a knack for stirring up trouble. In which case, you're screwed from the get-go. Honestly, I prefer not knowing how posh it is. Places like this don't exactly roll out the red carpet for someone who deals with my kind of stuff, but since I've got no immediate escape plans, might as well play along. I'd happily shit on it in principle, but gotta admit, it seems like pretty low-key on the outside. Not counting the two chuckling goons who clearly missed the memo when blending with the crowd. And on that note,
Is there a giggle-worthy revelation you'd care to share with me, Birdie? Your demeanor hints at a job well done, does it not?
the awkward freeze frame those two were stuck in would be comedy gold if I wasn't knee-deep in my own mess.
Marshall, go for it.
Yeah, Miss Davidson. I mean, I'm really saying things is wild, you know. Just like the usual stuff we're seeing, I guess.
Marshall, can you please turn your gain up?
Yes.
Much better, thank you.
My default, sir. I mean, not really anything too wild, you know. I just like the usual stuff we're observing, I guess.
Does this usual stuff include dubious characters within miles reach of Elysium? Groups of which you were specifically instructed to watch out? 3 of them, to be exact, if my count holds true.
3 groups of what? Honestly, I didn't spot a thing. Then again, maybe I'm just not clued in on what to look for. Let her cook.
I mean, I apologize. We really should have.
Yes, you really should have.
Boy, that shot through him like an icy bullet. I wasn't exactly cozy myself, but that poor sod probably just shed the last ounce of warmth left in him.
Return to your duties at once. I'll be expecting a detailed report within the next hour.
Best of all, sir.
He waddles off like a scolded kid, and his pal refuses to meet her eyes. I throw Valerie a look of unwilling respect. She obviously holds some serious clout in these parts.
Now, dragging your feet earns you no favors, and believe me, you could use a few.
Is that an offer, Miss Duval? Her smile serves as enough of a silent veto to make it clear that prying any further is futile. Not exactly a good sign. She swings the door open, but there's no warm invitation in the gesture. The place doesn't quite live up to the posh art gallery image in my mind. Sure, there's a hint of what could be disquiet on the walls, but most of the art is either shoved aside or covered up. My instincts shift into overdrive. First up, a quick room survey. No vents, no fancy chandeliers daring me to escape, and definitely no clear exits. Especially not through those reinforced windows. Trying to pull off a Chris Angel-style stunt would likely start with a bang and end with my head on the chopping block. Step 2 practically unfolds on its own. The room's a powder keg of kindred in the middle of an intense debate. The tension is palpable. Suspicion dialed up to 11. That's when their voices finally break through the walls of my focus.
Wouldn't have had such an issue if we'd taken action when the signs were so clearly obvious.
That long-haired hunk must be Qadir al-Asmai, the Camarilla's sheriff. I'd have my fill of stories about him, but now I can put a face to the reputation.
If only the rest of us were blessed with your profound gift of foresight, Sheriff, unlife would be a walk in the park. Allow me to emphasize, our risks aren't limited to a single front. Acting on a gut feeling might work wonders in motion pictures. Here in the real world, it's a different story.
This one's a mystery to me. The way he's navigating the conversation is clearly a heavyweight in these parts.
Spare me the pretense of words, Arturo. The pattern was unmistakable well over a month ago. Now...
Arturo. Thomas Arturo? Shit. Reynard explicitly told me to steer clear of this guy's mess. The bickering rages on, and Valerie doesn't seem eager to reveal her catch, aka yours truly.
Rain, you're on mute.
just gonna stand there, or...
Rain.
Your playful decision to allow the Thin Bloods to appoint Larson as their primogen raises his final death to a level that can't be casually swept under the rug, Helene. Thin-blooded or not, it throws into question our grip on the situation.
That gothed-out Ally McBeal? Definitely Aisling Sturbridge, the Tremere Regent. I've been curious if Reynard's operation extends into the local chantry, but he was, as always, tight-lipped about his private efforts.
would you have me do then? Unleash our dear sheriff without adequate reconnaissance? Just in the name of haste? We can't overlook his excessive efficacy in the last skirmish, can we? Doesn't the prospect of a masquerade breach give you pause?
Behold, the queen bee herself, Helene Panhard, the reigning prince of Sticks Up the Ass.
Marshall.
I figure we're all fine to keep things the way they are. But there's times you just sit back and think, and then there's times when you gotta step and do something bold. This feels like it's time to make a move.
One moment.
An anarch championing
One
chaos?
moment. Rain, we got some echo on your end. Please mute yourself when you're not talking. Proceed, please.
An anarch championing chaos? A revelation that somehow fails to astonish, O esteemed Baron of the Bronx.
An anarch baron inside Elysium? Now that's a plot twist. What's the deal here? As I continue to look around, another figure catches my eye. A young-looking woman, entirely decked out in black, casually playing with a cigarette. She shoots me a brief glance, clearly picking up on my curiosity. That ancient fart in the wheelchair, whispering to his servant. Who's that? Right as he's about to chime in, some blinky guy I totally missed till now decides to butt in.
My apologies for interrupting, Mr. Payne, but it appears Miss Duval has brought forth the issue. You mentioned earlier it might be wise to ensure she is not exposed to unnecessary information.
How did I overlook this guy? He's all limbs and quirks, playing with some odd ring on his finger. He sticks out in this upscale bunch like a sore thumb. Is my mojo on vacation or what?
Yes, thank you for the shrewd observation. Caitiff.
She hurls those words like she's spitting venom. Whatever the opposite of sympathy is, she's brimming with it. Wait. Caitiff.
Esteemed counsel, I give you the troublesome Ravnos neonate. I gather you all desire a swift resolution to this matter, especially given the reluctance to cooperate.
As upon cue, every eye shifts to me. I'm not one to buckle under stage fright, but this silent ostracism is a whole new level. In this room, I'm on my own.
I understand the formal system that you're supporting. This, as well as my role in the matter. However, there are more pressing matters demanding attention. Far more pressing.
Shall we discard old traditions too while we're at it? We've pirouetted around the Hudson problem for more than a year, yet progress remains as stale as our debate. Certainly, a few additional moments to honor the very laws you spearhead so vigorously couldn't hurt, could they?
The Hudson is a completely different beast, as you're well aware. We need to address the locust swarm engulfing New York before Camarillo's entire framework crumbles beneath its weight. And how does that see you, Bang? Just last night, 2 dust-born and fledgling from your clan were reduced to ashes. And we're still in the dark about who's pulling strings. Shouldn't that worry you about policing the purity of the red market?
The old guy's servant steps forward, all awkward and frigid.
In principle, I agree, Sheriff. However, should we continue to disregard even minor infractions, We broadcast a message of vulnerability. Vulnerability threatens our efforts within, beyond our borders. Efforts we plan to carry on without interruption once the locust swarm, as you have termed it, is eradicated.
I can't believe I'm saying it. I'm inclined to agree with Grandpa on this one. Can't simply let something like that slip through the cracks without taking proper measures.
So, you assume the role of his advocate now? Quite the bold ascent up the ladder of your own making, Julia. What's next on the horizon? Another hostile?
Enough! Enough already.
An awkward silence falls over the room, but it seems more about customs than actual respect. Guess we're all just creatures of habit, undead or alive. The sheer theatrics of the situation give me a moment to sneak a glance at. Is it just me, or does Prince Panhard look beat and scared? I get that she's not exactly winning any popularity contests here. Aside from that ascot-wearing douche, it seems like everyone is just barely putting up with her leadership. Could the situation outside really be that dire? When the prince finally managed to speak, her voice lacked the confidence you'd anticipate from someone at the helm.
We're all here for the same reason you are, Aisling. Or am I mistaken? And you forget where your loyalties lie!
Even now, as she turns to me, her presence is weighed down. Not that I care. My head's on the chopping block, and she's the one calling the shots on whether it stays put or rolls off.
Now let's put this issue to rest here and now. Strive for brevity, Sheriff.
Understood.
The weight of his gaze is enough for me to lower my shoulders. Whatever comes, not gonna be pretty.
Kali of Clan Ravens, you send of Hughes of violating New York Camaria's praxis, infringing on the tradition of hospitality, and endangering the masquerade, among other things.
Well, shit. On what grounds?
Drop the act. There's a wealth of evidence in that recreational vehicle of yours, most of it confirming the suspicions we have been harboring over the recent months. Petty theft from our subjects, impersonation of other kindred, lineage forgery. Need I go on?
Okay, guilty. But when did they start caring? It's not like I'm the only one dipping my toes into the ocean of misdemeanors. At least they don't know about our artifact gig.
But your involvement in large-scale blood and war trafficking, outside our scrutiny and the jurisdiction of the secondary system, is obvious as it is dangerous to stability of our domain.
Large scale, my ass. We hardly move anything through New York. Definitely not enough to impact their operations. Plus, we're super careful.
Especially with your clientele often being direct hostility to our interests, as Primogen Payne was kind enough to confirm.
Seriously, this can't be right. We always check out our clients. Well, Reynard does, but... Is this some twisted way to set an example? Are they playing the undead IRS? What is their game, really?
While some might chalk this up to colossal stupidity, I'm neither self-forgiving nor tolerant of fraudsters respecting nothing but their own gain.
I'm not blind to the fact that Reynard's completely MIA in this whole story. He's the big cheese, the head honcho of the entire affair. Though calling it an affair might be giving it too much credit. So, why are they making it out like I'm the mastermind behind some global crime syndicate?
This is no time to be quiet, Raven.
You know what? Fuck 'em. I'm not going down without a fight.
Well? Anything to say for yourself?
Obviously you found something. How could you not when you're the one who planted it there to begin with?
Careful, Icarus.
I've watched The Exonerated. I know the drill. Look, I get you need someone to pin this on, but you've got the wrong out of nowhere. Something pierces my mind, shredding its defense to dust. It's like my head's been turned inside out, exposing my every thought for their amusement. I whip my head towards the source of this eerie sensation, and boom, here's Quadir, the freaking sheriff, those piercing eyes slicing through my layers of BS like it's cake.
I honestly hope I'm not taking it for a fool. That would be a misstep of monumental proportions, unlike anything these walls have witnessed.
I get a glimpse of Aisling out of the corner of my eyes, silently mouthing words that look suspiciously like I beg to differ. Right then, a curved sword appears in Quadir's hand, as though he's just pulled it straight from thin air. Or maybe I'm just going nuts. Honestly, I'd be totally shitting my pants right now if that part of me wasn't offline.
I'm not here for your games, Lord. Choose your next words carefully, or else.
I'd argue this utter lunacy clears her of charges. She couldn't even cobble together a feeble story, much less orchestrate clandestine tradings of this magnitude. And yarn spinning is supposed to be your clan's forte, isn't it?
Last chance, my dear. Is there anything of substance you wish to add?
Holy shit. This can't really be happening, right? What's my move? What would Reynard do? Reynard. If he had the decency to pop up or at least toss me a fucking heads up, I wouldn't be knee-deep in this disaster. Is he really in trouble? Or what if he bailed on me? Got a hint that Camarilla was breathing down his neck and decided I'm the perfect scapegoat. Nah, that doesn't sound like him. But why target me and not Reynard? Sure, he's gone now, but would they really be that clueless about him? I'm totally lost, but I do know what he would probably do. His move would be to look out for number one. Spill the beans, more than necessary to buy some time. Time is gold, and with enough of it, maybe there's a chance to wiggle out of this list. It's all or nothing now. Hit the jackpot or end up porcupined with stakes. Guess there's not much point in playing dumb.
Couldn't agree more.
Game on. Alright then. So, I indeed am tangled up in this little blood trafficking operation. Playing a pretty crucial part, if I do say so myself, though I guess not everyone's on board with that assessment. I do the logistics, pushing merchandise through a series of dark web channels. Every eyebrow in the room goes up, except for the cigarette aficionado in the back, who lets out a slight smirk. I mean, a little controlled drama never hurts in a short con. All totally secure and anonymous. No slips about, our thing. Everything masked by the hustle of more mundane black markets. No way we're blowing the masquerade. We deal in stored blood, as you might have caught on. Not just any blood, though. Our merch is a little jazzed up. Thaumaturgically enhanced, to be exact.
It's the only way they'd work, as you're well aware.
I am, but that's not for you to find out. Right. Of course. Oh, and we also deal in, let's just call them family treasures. But honestly, that's more like a side gig than anything serious. But we're extremely careful about picking our clients and really thorough when it comes to making deals. The traditions and all. I was sure we'd never even come close to breaking them. At least, that's what he led me to believe. I had a hunch that there were some dodgy dealings in his more secret ventures. To deny that would be a flat-out lie. But let's be real, I'm way outside the inner circle to have real sway in those parts of his enterprise. For a brief moment, an uneasy silence sweeps over the room.
His enterprise. Is this a joke? Exactly who is this he you're referring to?
I give it my all to appear as blameless as possible. I presumed you all knew it was my sire who was masterminding it all. The room's heavy silence is soon filled with hushed whispers following my revelation. Good. If fortune is on my side, I might just live to see another moonrise.
Indeed. How fortuitous. And your sire would be?
There's only one other notable rogue in the city comes to mind. Someone dipping in and out, known for the shifty nature of which I was somewhat aware. Reynard Castle.
You nailed it, Chief. Sir. Another brief moment of silence gets interrupted by the girl in black, who addresses the sheriff.
I can practically hear the cogs turning in your head, Kadir. What's your take on it?
Truth be told, it does add up. Though I had him pegged more as a colonist than trafficker.
Duval hasn't been apprehended yet, Sheriff. Basically endorsing activities that impede the circulatory system's operations.
For your own good, Payne, I'll pretend I didn't catch that. Would you care to question my dedication to Causian? Be warned, my patient wears extremely thin these nights.
We put this bickering on hold, at least for the moment.
An opportunity staring me in the face. How could I resist squeezing myself right back into it? One more thing. Reynard and I had a meeting lined up with the client a few hours back, but he never showed up. In the whole year and a half I've been in this gig, he's never just vanished like this.
And what do you make of it?
Now, with the floodgates of truth wide open, it's time to dive into the art of lying my ass off. To be honest, I'm not sure. But now that I think of it, he's changed over the past month. Become a lot more erratic than usual. Ready for my theory? I'm pretty sure he caught wind of your lot and decided to feed me to the flames while he made a run for it. Whether they're swallowing my story or they're just tired of my presence, feels like I'm nudging things the way I want them. Not everyone's convinced, though.
An unwitting pawn betrayed by her master. A likely story. Suitable for the stage indeed, but in this context...
If I may.
Damn it, Padre. Don't go getting yourself into...
Baron's warning arrives a bit too late, and instantly the others shift their focus, fixing their eyes on the caitiff with unmistakable hostility. It's clear they're not exactly fond of him.
Since you've already disrupted the proceedings, you might as well say your piece, mediator.
Very well then. I am inclined to believe her. At least, in the aspects most significant to the interest of our allies.
Thanks, you mysterious weirdo.
As ever, your assertions remain devoid of substance.
My guy's advice is pretty much always on point. The track record speaks for himself.
The sheriff has a point that seems to hold water. Her sire might just be the one at fault. She is essentially a non-entity, is she not? A nobody that slipped under the radar until, by stroke of sheer bad luck, she got caught red-handed. Do excuse the pun. When you give it another look, the evidence you have collected should indeed back up the claim quite convincingly.
And what grounds your intricate evaluation precisely?
My judgment is shaped by your vast experiences, simply tempered by reasoning and intuition.
It changes little regarding the consequences she must face for her complicity in her sire's crimes.
It's do or die. How about I serve you Reynard's head on a silver platter in exchange for mine, unscathed, on my shoulders? Clodier's stare pins me under silent disapproval, but he lets me, as the curly-haired asshole put it, spin my yarn. I know all his secret spots in town, plus the spots he wouldn't touch with a 10-foot pole. I'm wired into his network, his contacts. I've got his playbook down, and I can stay one step ahead of him with ease. Just give me a chance, and we will all be thanking our lucky stars by the end. They slip into a quiet introspection. Or maybe they're just playing around a mental chess, trying to read each other's minds without uttering a word.
I have reservations about this daring proposition. Consider the potential fallout if this entire situation spirals out of control.
Clodier throws up his hand, clearly over-dealing with my case.
Capturing this wall proved hard on the challenge. I wouldn't sweat the idea of capturing him again. What's more, trusting her Castle resolves two issues at once. This swiftly eliminates her presence and enables us to prioritize genuine concerns. Besides, keep watch over her. Valerie, perhaps one of yours.
A batshit crazy idea bursts into my mind. The kind of a gamble that could either turn out brilliantly or spectacularly implode. Let the dice roll. How about him? I jabbed my finger towards the quiet caitiff. Pradraic, was it? His expression shifts to one of utter confusion as he catches the subtle smirks of the council members.
Surely you're not considering.
This could play out quite favorably, I must admit.
Quite favorably indeed.
Holy shit. It actually worked.
Very well. Padraic Conroy, I hereby appoint you as the agent caretaker for this Ravnos neonet.
I hate to break it to you, Sheriff, but this call, it's not on your turf. He's with us, Anarchs, and you know it well enough.
Technically, when he took on the whole peacemaker role for our cliques, he acquired a level of neutrality. So, yeah.
Clodier redirects his gaze to the caitiff.
Her responsibility is to ensure she fulfills his assignment within 4 nights, starting now. Any slip-ups on her end will reflect your record as well. Do we have an understanding?
4 nights. Not a whole lot, but better than nothing. The Dryax's resigned nod mirrors exactly how I feel.
Now, back to where we were.
Their sudden disinterest in me is a clear get-out-of-here signal. Seems I've managed to slide from one pit to another, but hey, I bought myself a little time, and in my world that's precious currency. Unless, of course, that caitiff turns out to be a wild card. I bought myself some time to find Reynard and scram out of the city before the Camarilla catches on. The only trouble is this caitiff clinging to my back, which honestly is kind of my own fault. I need to figure out how to shake him off. We might not need air to nourish our vitae, but I still let out a sigh of relief when the doors to Elysium slammed shut behind us. Talk about a crew of entitled assholes holed up in their ivory tower, sneering at kindred, just reaping by to make dead ends meet. I hope they get a nice, sharp stake to the foot. But hey, it's all good. My golden word and silver tongue managed to buy me some time to find Reynard and get the hell out of this dodge before those clowns catch on that we've already hit the west coast. The only hiccup for now is...
Keep making that face at me, and it might just stick that way.
I pinch my lips together and squint for good measure.
What? Are we reverting to playground tactics now?
Hush. I'm concentrating on blowing up your brain with my mind.
If it keeps you quiet, by all means, keep trying.
I shoot him a defiant glare and whirl around, his exasperated sigh chasing after me. Be what may, this kid of tips gotta go.
Look, the sun is about to rise. We can pick up this little dance of ours again tomorrow night. Okay? Let's get moving. My haven isn't even this part of town.
Hold up. What do you mean, your haven?
Alright, hear me out. I get that the whole thing is a bit of a pain for the both of us. Trust me, I have no more desire to mind you than you have to be minded. But let's rewind for a second. You were the one who picked me out of the out at Asylum, Elysium, and got us both into this mess. If I let you out of my sight, things will get proper and pleasant for me. And believe me, I am speaking from experience. But you will be torn to shreds by Quadir's hounds before you could say oops. They'll sniff you out sooner rather than later. That is a stone-cold fact. So, how about we skip the theatrics and you tag along to a place I know is safe? We can regroup and figure out our next move come nightfall.
He stops mid-sentence, fingers crossed for whatever is the kindred version of a stroke. Maybe I could slip away and get to my RV.
No, your RV is completely off the table.
The fuck's wrong with my RV?
Valerie took her sweet time turning it inside out. Plus, the spot you chose for parking isn't exactly the epitome of safety, putting it mildly.
It's a fortress on the wheels. Steel shutters and everything. It's kept me from turning to ash so far, hasn't it? Why does its parking spot suddenly matter?
Believe me, these nights, location is everything.
He stays silent for a moment, likely thinking he's gained the upper hand in our verbal spar. I still count it as my win. Nevertheless, he starts yapping again soon after.
In any case, we need a place to rest, and my haven is the safest choice. I'd really hate to resort to violence, but don't presume I won't drag you there if the need arises. It's your call.
Every time I don't get a say, it somehow turns out to be my call. Come on, what do you think I'll do? Run away?
Obviously.
Oh, ye of little faith. Would I try to bail on you on Christmas night?
You sticking around might just count as a truly holiday miracle. And no, I don't bank on holiday miracles. If you are under the impression I'll let you out of my sight, then you are not paying attention. Come, let's not dilly-dally.
Dilly-dally? Did they embrace him in a Dickens novel? Talk about being charming. Alright. After you. Stubborn as I am, it turns out Mr. Thin and Mean over there is just as immovable. Arguing seems futile. Time for a different approach. I toss him a thoughtful glance, noticing him leisurely fiddling with one of those ugly rings adorning every conceivable part of his hands. What a jerk. My gang would eat him alive. But I can deal with him on my own just fine. All I need is a little bit of inspiration. After a quick look around, a couple of schemes start to take shape. As we walk past a nightclub, the sound of music reverberates invitingly with screams, steps, moans, sobs, and laughter. A bouncer, looking somewhat bored and tired at this ungodly hour, nods at the few people trickling out and the even fewer trying to get in. Perfect. Past experiences have taught me not to underestimate the utility of mortal distractions. Sometimes, the most overlooked thing might come in handy on the time of need. So, let me guess. Your hideout's all doom and gloom, decked out with charming candles and poetry, both completely overshowered by some retro gaming console.
Sharp as ever. You will see when we get there.
Seems like sparking an engaging conversation to divert him wasn't in the cards. No matter. I don't need that to begin with. I crack my neck, steel myself, and suddenly lunge ahead. The caitiff, whether anticipating my moves on acting on a pure instinct, is hot on my heels. As we near the bouncer, I throw myself into his arms, wailing to high heavens. Help, please! He's trying to hurt me! Out of the corner of my eye, I see the caitiff halting in his tracks, delightfully dumbfounded. I barely suppress a smirk and look out the bouncer, pushing me back just a bit further with a quiver in my lower lip. It takes more out of me than I expected. He won't stop following me. Please, call someone. The bouncer sees me for what I used to be, a skinny, vulnerable girl. He puffs up, looking menacingly at the caitiff, and pulls me gently behind him. As the bouncer moves to confront the predator, I seize the moment and zoom away in the opposite direction, pushing my legs as fast as they'll go. I have no idea where I'm going. The solitude sounds perfect right now. Even after everything tonight, it looks like I'm on a roll. Must be that Ravnos charm working its magic. I instantly regret the choice the moment I dash into an alleyway. A dodgy crew handling crates that seem to be filled with combat gear snaps their attention towards me the moment I make my entrance. And they've seen my inhuman speed. Shit.
Joanne, go ahead.
Caleb, look.
Oh, come on. What did I ever do to you, Lady Luck, to jinx me like that?
Oskar, go for it.
Squad, to your positions.
They begin to circle me, exchanging nods. It's only them I notice their tactical gear and the unmistakable outline of wooden stakes. Is this the infamous Special Affairs Division? Seriously, fuck my in-life. Reynard was spot on. I'm always too quick to pop the champagne. Back off, would you? This isn't going to end well for you.
Shut your filthy gob, leech.
He whips out a stake to compensate for his shaky tone. I'm not one for head-on combat, but it's way past the time for cunning.
From the sides, now!
They come at me all at once with an attack surprisingly uncoordinated for such a well-equipped team. That disarray is the only reason I may survive this. As a flash of heat surges through me, their movement seems to slow down. I grab the first one by the arm as he swings a knife at me, driving my nails into his armpit. Everything turns a shade of red I find disturbingly pleasant. Next, I leap and spin, taking the squeaky girl down with a kick that leaves her neck at a grotesque angle and her body crumpling to the ground. Their leader waves his stake in hesitation, searching for an opening.
Bring it on, you undead whore!
I don't give him the chance in an instant. I'm at his throat, tearing and ripping. His blood washes over my skin like a hot shower. It feels comforting. As the chaos fades, there I am, perfectly unharmed amidst the carnage, swept up in the rush of victory. Tonight is definitely my night. But then reality strikes, quite literally. Knocked onto my knees and suddenly dazed, I scramble to get up. I need to get out before the caitiff catches up. As I try to rise, a kick sends me sprawling. Another thug, one that I missed, sits on top of me, stake in hand, aimed straight at my heart. I ran instantly, bucking my hips, reaching for his elbow, ready to tear and rip, but I can't. And I don't have to. Suddenly, hands encircle the thug's neck, twisting in a complete circle. Reminiscent, of some horror movie owl. He drops beside me, lifeless, as the caitiff casually retrieves the stake.
Enjoying the ground that much?
Piss off.
I believe thank you is the phrase you're looking for. Consider yourself lucky I took care of your protector back there so effectively.
He extends his hand with grace, and there's a part of me itching to grab it, to pull at it, and literally take him down a peg. But I let the moment pass. The brawls worn me out, and dawn's creeping up on us. I refuse his help, pushing myself up with a mix of pride and fatigue.
Why don't you hold on to the stake, consider it a memento of the time you nearly got taken out by a few hunters and needed my intervention. A slice of humble pie, if you will.
I took the stake into my belt bag, feeling more awkward about it than I care to show. For the record, I had it under control. Oh wait, hunters.
Of course. You didn't seriously think it was this SAD, did you?
He lets out a chuckle. The first one I've heard from him. It feels out of place, I think.
Do not take it personally, but if it were the SAD you were up against, you'd have been taken out before you even realized there was a threat. They're too well organized, too professional. These guys, however...
He sweeps his hand around, gesturing towards the fallen hunters.
Well, they haven't quite mastered the element of surprise.
Still, running into that many in one place. I know Kadir mentioned something about a locust swarm back in Elysium, but shit, that's more than just bad luck.
Indeed, New York is nowhere near as safe for our kind as it once was. This is not your typical hunter's behavior. It's an anomaly, and its source is still unknown. Until we figure it out, I strongly advise against sprinting like a demented cheetah, biting whatever is within arm's reach, or showing off your unique powers. For your own safety, assume you're under constant surveillance. Choose your moments wisely.
The second time I'm hearing this kind of warning tonight. Maybe I should actually start paying attention.
And you might want to rethink your attempts to ditch me. I might not arrive in time to save you the next time you get in trouble.
The next time? He seems to have me all figured out. Alright. Maybe sticking with you might have some benefits.
Am I hearing things? Or was that a compliment?
Don't let it get to your head. Don't expect a repeat. Now, about that haven of yours? The sun's about to rise, and I've had more than enough for one night. All I need is to sink into the deep, dark void of rest tonight. The Pradraic's haven is the place to be. The walk feels endlessly long. I try to focus on the task of locating Reynard, but my thoughts just won't line up right. Definitely not a promising end to the night. Before I know it, we're already there.
This is our stop. Let's head inside. Dawn is nearly upon us.
He steps through the door first, but leaves it open for me. I see it as a slight sign of trust. Or maybe I'm just too exhausted to be on the lookout for tricks. Home, sweet home. Peeking into a kindred's haven is kind of like trying to read their diary. Assuming they have one, of course. Our van, which I share with my crew, might tell a story of covert operations, daring escapes, and a tight-knit camaraderie. For those with a flair of drama, that is. To anyone else, it could just seem like a mobile hideout for a few smugglers. Granted, I haven't exactly been a guest in many havens, but this one, it's practically shouting its love affair with books and a certain, let's say, relaxed approach to tidiness. And that Pradraic probably didn't expect to have company. Like, ever. Every inch of it is covered in books, papers, and random notes. A wild mosaic of ideas from the mundane to the outright unhinged. I swear, there are even scribbles on napkins in the mix. Pradraic seems a little bit flustered that I got his haven in such disarray. He rushes to clean up, picking up an armful of paper along the way.
Make yourself at home. The couch is all yours.
At least the windows, all still open, have been secured with steel shutters. All in all, the place feels rather cozy. Pretty decent haven, I think. Just a tad too lonely for my tastes. Among the clutter, a vast collection of James Joyce stands out. Surrounded by other books, I feel more like homework than leisure reading. Pradraic's choice in literature? Definitely on the no fun side. The stack of papers he's clutching is kept under wraps and impossible to read, but the ones littering the rest of the space, they're up for grabs. I stretch my neck to get a closer look, ditching any attempt to be sneaky, only to find some disjointed snippets about history, voices, oracles, and the like. I shoot him a disappointed frown, only to be met with his painfully blank stare. Clearly, someone's got their poker face down pat. A history buff. Don't take this the wrong way, but you totally give off that vibe.
Why would I take it the wrong way?
I give him a casual shrug, and he offers a smile in return. It's not exactly brimming with joy, but hey, I'll take what I can get.
Get some rest. We've got busy night ahead of us.
Hard to put up a fight against common sense, especially when you're running on empty. I give him a vague wave, settle onto the couch amid a few stray papers, and let myself sink into the deep, dark void of rest. Steady drone of machinery blends with the aroma of ancient dust and robust alchemy, conjuring a palpable atmosphere that teases the senses. It's a relentless reminder of the raw power in action, a sensation that never leaves you, no matter how far away you go. Is it a common theme across Tremere Labs, or did she add a personal twist just for my sake? Ugh, it's beside the point tonight. Tonight, the stakes are sky high. No room for getting sidetracked.
I'm only going to ask this once. You do understand all the specifics, correct? The procedure and the risks that come with it?
My gaze drifts down to my necklace, the symbol of my cause. I nod in silent agreement.
Make no mistake. Should you attempt to violate our arrangement, I have my methods to track you down. Believe me, that would be far less pleasant than what's coming next.
I'm instantly hit with a pain so intense, it feels like my flesh is being torn asunder. And no matter how much I try, I can't black out for even the briefest moment of blissful reprieve. My consciousness clings on, as stubborn as I am, and it's making me pay for my plentiful sins, or paving the road for the new ones to come. But the agony is worth it. So is the prize that's coming after. Again and again, it's the same sensation. A sudden plunge into frigid waters, snapping me back to reality. Not exactly a graceful awakening, more of a shit, here we go again kind of moment. In the midst of this routine, there's always that distinctive first touch, the thing that jolts me back to consciousness. This time, it's the gentle rustle of pages turning, a subtle nudge back to the waking world. I crack open an eye and look around. In his derelict armchair, Pradraic sits bent over in a heavy tome, pencil in hand, etching thoughts onto the yellow pages. His gaze never leaves the text, but he must have sensed me awaken.
Good evening. I hope you slept well.
Listen, and I'm not going to sugarcoat it, I've slept on bags of bricks more comfortable than your couch. Which is fine. Good for your spine, or so I've heard.
Fortunately, you need no longer trouble yourself with matters of backbone, be they physical or moral.
Wow. I see you're the opposite of cranky in the evening. So, did I snooze through anything noteworthy? He jots down one last note and carefully closes the book before finally glancing up at me, face unyielding and cold as ice.
That would depend on your definition of noteworthy, but I have been pondering our next step.
Oh? Do tell.
I have been working for the Anarchs for the past 2 years and forged friendly relationships, and some of them Torque included. Although, in this particular case, I would rather avoid this presence.
That makes two of us. Judging by his sour face last night, he was not happy with me snagging you away like that.
Well, I am of help to him in the current situation. Torque is more than occupied with the goings-on with his turf at the moment. He may have neither time nor patience for a visit.
Yeah, all right. So, what do you propose then?
The allegations against your sire. See, I happen to know someone who used to be deeply entrenched in the dark corners of the Red Market. An anarch, working not too far from here. If Castle truly wields as much influence as the court suggests, my contact can offer substantial aid.
Substantial, you say? Oh, can't argue with that. Except it's a no-go, amigo. His face scrunches up in surprise and repeats the words as if I'm trying to taste them for poison.
No go, amigo.
Look, I get it. You have friends and contacts aplenty, but so do I. Also, I know Reynard Castle like the back of my hand. We've been dealing all around the city, on and off for almost 2 years. There's gotta be somebody here who knows where he bailed. Pradraic furrows his brow, waiting for me to elaborate further. This is a real quandary. 2 little angels whisper steadily into my ears, one having fallen spectacularly into the pits of hell, while the other has only sauntered vaguely downwards, spouting completely contradictory notions. In the end, I ignore them both, as I often do, and choose a third option, the best option, one where I don't have to reveal much at all. There's this one guy who hangs around Harlem, Eli Sansarik. Apparently he's one of the few kindred that didn't burn with hatred for Reynard, so it must mean they were getting along. He tilts his head slightly at the name of my... well, let's just call it a contact.
Eli Sansarik? The serpent?
Why? You have something against them?
Do you know what the ministry... Never mind that. Do you have the slightest inkling about the Sansarek's capable of?
Okay, I'm not fond of that look. The one filled with pity. And somehow I can't seem to bring out a credible light of spite him. Go on, enlighten me.
To put it bluntly, only in the most desperate situations would anyone with an ounce of sanity consider seeking out Eli Sansarik.
A perfect lead, given my circumstances. I can go find him now, have a little chat, and be back in no time.
We could go find him, but it's far from the best course of action at the moment. Sansarik is known to be extremely dangerous and territorial. We should not take him lightly. I propose we go to the Anarchs first. At least there, we will not be in danger of losing our heads.
You're being so dramatic. We're gonna be fine. What's the worst that can happen?
I believe us literally losing our heads is most definitely in the realm of possibility.
We could split the party, you know.
Again, we most certainly cannot. See, I think.
Sweet lord, this guy. I'm trying to kick things up a notch. I fish a weighted coin out of my belt bag. Whoops, sorry. I think I just reached my limit there. How about we just flip a coin? Heads, we go to Sansarik. Tails, we go to Harlem.
You mean the Bronx?
I hate it when people actually listen to what I say. Fine. Call it already. You see him hesitate, eyes going blank for a moment. His hand almost inadvertently crawls toward his ring, spinning it around a couple times. Squinting at it, I finally managed to make out that it's a dice ring. One of those real dorky ones that D&D nerds wear when they want to look their silliest. Finally, Pradraic looks back at me, gaze as sharp as ever.
All right, but you call it.
Suit yourself, buddy. It's your funeral. Heads. I lower my head to hide a little smile. The weighted coin glimmers in the warm light of the floor lamp as it soars through the air, spinning quicker than the wheel of fate. It lands safely on my outstretched hand, and I flip it onto my palm, showing it confidently to Pradraic without even a glance. He looks at it and smiles up at me like the cat that got the cream.
Tails, fancy that. Seems we are going to the Bronx after all.
What? Impossible. Truly impossible. This has never happened before. Traitorous coin! Have I not been good to you? Have I not kept you safe in my pocket all these years? Is that how you repay me? I mean, what the actual fuck? Who is he? Did David Blaine finally freeze to death and turn into this lanky trickster? How did he... best 2 out of 3?
Come on, we can take my car.
Well, shit. It's one battle lost. Yeah, your car. But wait, do you mean that black rattletrap out front?
It's a perfectly serviceable vehicle, whose minuscule size allows for...
You know what? How about we just go, and you can enjoy your minuscule vehicle in silence? Stupid coin. Want to take the L, I guess. Not my ideal move, but tagging along with a caitiff might get me some answers. Plus, having seen Torque's reaction at Elysium, those anarchs might have a soft spot for Pradraic and share more than they would if I asked them myself. Pradraic's car is indeed a perfectly serviceable vehicle, and that's legally all I'm allowed to say. I'm having a blast shuffling through all the ancient cassette tapes he's collected, judging his taste in music out loud. Another Bohemian Rhapsody? Seriously?
Huh? I thought I only had one of them. Terrific.
He says that with the straightest of faces, and I can't help but burst into laughter. God forbid you get with the times, but how about a legit car radio, to update your playlist?
Says the one sporting a Walkman on her belt.
Touché, I guess.
Still, I do have a soft spot for Queen. It never gets old.
Just saying, you're missing out on a whole lot if you ignore stuff from the 21st century. The music scene's been booming. Ever heard of K-pop? Giving off some serious saucing energy, my guy. He eyes me with a sudden interest.
Do you think any of them have released cassette tapes?
Aside from our contrasting views on modernity, our little journey proceeds smoothly. Too smoothly, in fact. A violent itch grows within me. Tease, scratch, prod, and I can't help but give in. Holy shit, watch out! He doesn't even flinch. The hell? We're gonna crash it! Seriously! Are you a robot or what?
No, just seasoned. And in the right mind. What was that really about then? Because you need to do better than that to freak me out.
Just the traffic driving me nuts. Thought I'd stir up a little chaos. A little bit of anarchy.
Is that your subtle way of inquiring about a seemingly touchy subject?
You tell me.
Then brace yourself for disappointment. My run-ins with the Anarchs aren't nearly as thrilling as you might hope. I landed in New York about 2 years ago. Shortly after, I managed to save a handful of kindred. Mostly of the Anarch variety, although I do believe there was some Camarilla in the mix. It earned me what I would call tentative trust from Torque, and not much else, as you might have assessed back in Asylum.
Wow. How noble. So how did you go from kindred hero to Camarilla's gopher? There's a pause, as if he's genuinely considering the trajectory of his own life.
I have a knack for playing peacemaker, apparently, and while Torque considered it an asset, the Camarilla thinks it is a chink in his armor. Compromise isn't really in the vocabulary, you know.
Oh, I definitely do know. But if you saved some Camarilla kindred as well, why not start with them and curry some favor? They're the fat cats of New York, right?
I am a caitiff, Callie. My mind is not exactly welcome around the ivory towers.
A rare feeling of guilt washes over me, even though there's no bitterness in his voice. After a brief, uncomfortable silence, I abruptly change the subject and lead the conversation onto a slightly different track. Right, so you've been rolling with the Anarchs for a while now. Any cool stories about them? Tips on how to fit in?
Tips? Why bother? You would not follow them anyway.
Touché. Any cool stories, then? He hesitates briefly. His hands, while placed firmly on the steering wheel, meet in the middle as his fingers start nervously fiddling around with the dice ring. Deep down, the logical part of me knows I should back off. But the readily available part, the one right beneath my cold, dead skin, lurches at this opportunity to sneak straight into the vault of secrets. Come on, I'm dying of boredom here. You must have some wild tales to tell. Something not found in your pile of books. Fidgeting with the ring stops. His hands return to the perfectly sensible 9-3 on the wheel.
No wild tales, really. I mostly just talk to people.
Riveting. What kind of people?
Thin-bloods, for the most part. I was particularly interested in one called Sana, but mentioning her tends to shut conversations down, probably because she met her final death 4 years back, at the hands of the sheriff, no less.
Oh dear. Wow. She must have really stirred the pot.
Well, it did go on a mortal killing spree, but I am not one to judge whether or not the punishment fit the crime.
walking the line between right and wrong, so I don't think I'm in any place to judge her. I don't think I'm in any place to judge her either. Still, what pushed her to do it? He hesitates again. Why so secretive about a thin blood going rogue?
She claimed she was acting under orders from Cain, urging her to kill.
My eyebrow shoots up, waiting for him to continue.
He allegedly told Sana the end of the world is nigh, and somehow that devolved into a killing spree.
And she never questioned why the creator of our whole species would just specifically choose her. Just straight up went on a rampage? For some reason, this perfectly innocent remark really gets on his nerves.
Look, I'm just telling you what I've heard. I never met Sana myself. I just found her condition fascinating.
Hey, no need to get worked up. I glanced at your research notes. I know you're really into inner voices stuff. I'm not judging, it's just...
We can end this conversation anytime you want, really.
It's just that you have some really niche hobbies, you know? May I interest you in, I don't know, crocheting or something? It's a lot less intense than chasing crazies. Kindred might not need air. But Pradraic sighs so profoundly, it probably echoes into the very afterlife, or wherever else Sana went after meeting her final death. I'm not sure what I expected from an anarch outpost in one of the most densely populated cities in the America. Maybe a sewer hideaway sitting right next to the local rats. Maybe a few Prohibition-era cellars, linked by a web of secret corridors. Maybe even a chaotic squat in a dilapidated brownstone. But a grimy auto repair shop with a bold red sign proudly declaring its Motto's place? That definitely wasn't on my list. Are you sure this is the spot? I can ask for directions or something. Ouch, the silent treatment. Pradraic parks carefully, checking the side mirrors to see if he's aligned perfectly with the curb. Finally, with a satisfied nod, he turns the engine off.
Let's go.
And he gets out of the car just like that. I follow, of course, not because he told me to, but, well, hanging solo in a car at night gets real boring real fast. Even with Queen Dee-Doo-daying in the background.
Mato, are you there?
I fully expect company, but I still flinch when a huge, burly kindred steps out from the shadows, quieter than a mouse. His grime-covered arms are all set to Pradraic. Pradraic! A bear hug. But he stops himself at the very last moment, either from plain common sense or because I'm there.
Frank, go for it.
Hattie! Looking good, my man. What can I do you for? Need me to take a look at that old clunker of yours?
Howdy. Clunker? Oh, this is gonna be good. I grin at Addie expectantly, only to be met with his gaze full of discontent.
My clunker is in top shape, thank you. Maito, besides, I can see you are rather busy tonight. Still, I hope you would have a moment for a few questions, though it won't take long.
Mato erupts into laughter, patting Patty on the shoulder with a hand as big as a dinner plate. Any mortal would get pulverized by a friendly little pat like that. This gentle giant is truly something else.
Anything for you, my man. And speaking of, who's this you've brought?
Mato's gaze cuts right through me, his hawkish eyes surprisingly cool and sharp despite his rugged exterior. A split second passes before I realize he's sizing me up, and then I'm coming up short. Mato probably wouldn't spare me a second glance if it weren't for Pradraic.
Mato, meet Callie. She got in a bit of a situation with the Ivory Tower, you see. Well, to put it short, her execution is on hold provided she delivers the council her sire's head on a silver platter.
Mato lets out a long whistle, his eyes gaining a touch of warmth. Dare I say, grudging respect.
Damn. What's your sire accused of?
That's kind of what we're trying to piece together. Ever come across a lick who goes by Reynard Castle?
Reynard, huh? Can't say rings a bell. What's his deal?
Blood trade, among other things.
Pradraic says it quietly, sharply, with no hesitation, and I swear I see a bit of vitae drain from Mato's face. He almost drops a dirty rag he's been fiddling with ever since we got here. A tense silence fills the air, stretching like an endless rubber band. Thankfully, just as I'm a second away from blurting out some nonsense to break it, Mato speaks up.
I left that shit behind, man. You know that.
I know, believe me. We're not here to dredge up the past. We just need a direction. Nothing more, nothing less. Surely there is someone who's still in the loop. Someone who might have heard some rumors.
Mato falls silent, avoiding Pradraic's eyes. Internally, I'm giving Pradraic a standing ovation. I mean, I'm well aware I've misjudged my caitiff caretaker, but damn if he's not a wire puller. Maybe he could even teach me a thing or two.
I get it. It's a different situation for you, but I was really hoping you could help me out here. You know, I would not hesitate to reciprocate, as I have in the past.
Yeah, I know.
He seems more resigned than irritated, but still refuses to speak. Eyes downcast, body language borderline deer in the headlights. There must be some juicy history between these two, and I make sure to remember that info for later. Pradraic shoots me a quick look, but before he can double down on the guilt tripping, I flash my most charming grin and step forward. You see, I've only known Patty here for a single night? Turns out that's more than enough to figure out he's pretty good at killing the vibe when he puts his mind to it. That earns me an outraged glare from the caitiff, which I cheerfully ignore, and an unexpected chuckle from Mato. I count my blessings and push on. Look, I don't know the first thing about you. The whole blood trade drama or whatever, that's none of my business. I'm not about to dig in your dirt. Survival's the game we're all playing, right? Throwing a Reynard quote out there is kind of cheap, but it tends to work like a charm. So, I'll back off. Plus, I'm in a spot where I really can't afford to have anyone else in this town be pissed off at me.
Yeah, gotcha. It's just that...
No need to spell it out for me. Gnarly pats are sort of my thing, you know. Let's just drop the whole shebang. Hey. He nods hesitantly, and I'm not sure if he caught on to my attempt to win him over. I really hope he didn't, because I've already scanned his workshop and caught a bait or two so I can feed him to keep him on the hook. Hey, you run a garage, right? You run a garage, yeah? Got any spare hydraulic jacks lying around? My leveling system completely bailed on me a few minutes back.
A leveling system? That's a new one. Didn't figure for an RV type. What's your ride?
I mean, it kind of started its life as a class C mini Winnie, but after years of us messing with it and adding stuff, it's basically a custom build now. Oh, and it's a six-wheeler. He lets out a whistle so clear it's almost musical.
Ooh, modified chassis, huh? Color me intrigued. Love to get a look at that beast. Maybe it's just a simple fix for the jacks, like some wiring gone bad. No power getting through.
Nope, checked that already. When those jacks decide it's game over, there's no coming back. It's not a big deal, really. I just hate having anything break on me when I'm out and about, you know?
Ah, tell me about it. I used to spend a lot of time on the road myself.
Yeah? What was your haunt?
Duluth, Minnesota. Been ages since I went back, though.
Why's that?
Oh, you know, stuff, business, responsibilities, and then I just, sort of gave up on it.
Well, if you ever get hit with a sudden wave of nostalgia, I could swing by and pick you up. After I'm done with all this Camarilla bullshit, of course. It might be Hope playing tricks on me, but he seems more at ease now. Maybe even warmed up to me by a degree or two.
You're Class C. That's your haven, right?
Right on. A fully decked, sun-proof, steel curtains and all, reliable and minty fresh mobile haven.
Damn. I really need to see that masterpiece sometime.
Give me a few nights to sort my stuff out, and I'll show you all its quirks. He cracks an actual smile, looking both wistful and excited.
You know what? I might take you up on that offer.
Deal. Just keep those fingers crossed for me, alright? I gotta navigate my way out of that Camarilla mess first, remember? I gleefully sift through Monto's treasures, pretending I don't see him watching me like a hawk, clearly fighting a vicious internal battle. But in the end, neither one of us breaks our silent standoff.
It's time we head out. We still need to find someone who can actually give us answers. Sorry to bother you, Mato, and thank you for your time.
Ow, that's cold, even by Pradraic standards. But it sets me up perfectly. I smile brightly at Mato and wave a little. Goodbye, Mato. Look after this little Shangri-La of yours, okay? We turn around to leave, and I quietly count the steps. But before I reach 3, Mato curses under his breath and speaks up.
Hold up. Hold up.
Pradraic shoots me a meaningful look, but it's gone by the time we both turn back to the friendly giant. Mato's gnawing at his bottom lip, twisting the rag between his fingers.
Yes.
I really am out of that business, Patty.
I know, Mato.
Still, some whispers find their way to my ears. Nobody likes gossip more than a buzzed-up kindred.
Ain't that the truth? Usually comes in real handy, too.
Yeah, so, there's this thin blood alchemist. Skylar is her name, I think. Hangs around at Sunny's a lot.
Sunny's?
Empire of the Sun. It's a local anarch dive.
Yeah, exactly. Sunny's. If anybody knows anything about the blood trade, it's her. She's the only albino around, too, so you won't mistake her for none.
Thank you, Mato. That is all we need.
I owe you. Big time. Who knows? You might have saved my skin there.
Don't mention it.
Still, we should get going. Take care.
Rain, go for it.
Not so fast, runt.
than the city and their love for lurking? Or is it me who's losing edge?
Miss Sorrento, what a pleasure.
The air crackles with their mutual glares. Pradraic stoic, hers livid. Mato waves at her awkwardly, to which she responds with a curt nod. Me, I might as well be invisible to her.
Orc needs you now.
Why?
I came here to tell you, not debate you, Caitiff. Figure it out on your own.
Pradraic tries to hide his frustration, but his jaw is set and his shoulders tight.
Fine. Let's get moving, Kelly.
I don't think you heard me right. Torque summoned you. Your Ravnos pump is not invited.
She turns on her heel and walks off into the night. The cluttered car shop suddenly feels a touch more welcoming, as if starlight broke through after a storm. Mato gives Pradraic another one of those awkward shoulder pats, but it does have a relaxing effect on him. Or at least it stops him erratically spinning the ring. Wow, another kindred who dims down the room. You've really got him by the dozen here in the Big Apple, huh?
Yeah, she's definitely one of them. Name's Mia. Torque's enforcer. Sort of big fish around here.
Bigger than Torque sometimes.
Easy, Patty. You wouldn't want her catching wind of that.
Pradraic clears his throat in a uselessly mortal manner.
Right. I believe that is our cue to go. Thanks again, Mato.
Don't mention it. And hey, you're welcome back anytime. Both of you.
You got it. Later. Pradraic gnashes his teeth so loudly that I can hear it a good 5 feet away. He's spinning his ring in such a violent and erratic manner that for a brief, bizarre moment, I think he's going to rip his finger off. So I make a brilliant, as always, decision to lighten the mood. I'm not gonna lie, I don't think I've ever met a kindred as charming and likable as Mato. What's his deal? Where's he hiding the bodies?
From what I gather, his skeletons are buried deep in his past. Mato used to be quite the skilled thwomtuer, once delving into the dark arts. Albeit reluctantly, his sire can be quite intense.
Aren't they all?
Right.
I am happy to report that my efforts seem to have worked. Or at least, Pradraic straightens up and puts his hands on the pockets instead of maiming them with the twisty ring. Still, who knows what his little claws are doing to the lining of his coat. So, what's the plan now?
I have to go see the Torque.
Yeah, I gathered, but Scary Enforcer later made it clear I wasn't invited to the party.
You'll just have to wait in the car then.
Look, as much as I consider your perfectly serviceable car to be excellent company, we both know I can't just sit around doing nothing.
Then I'll ask someone to keep an eye on you. Not take too long.
Bullshit. You and your endless debates. I'll be old and gray before you come back, and that's not even an option anymore. Seriously, you handle Torque, and I'll head over to Sunny's to look for that Skylar girl.
That's not happening.
Oh, come on. I've been the fairy muddle of temperance tonight.
We've only been awake for mere hours.
Splitting hairs. I'm heading to Sunny's to wait for you there. Scout's honor. He sighs, rubbing tiredly at his eyes. I mean, what else can we do? Are you gonna chip me like a dog or something? And before you say anything, I'm highly allergic to any form of tracking, tech or otherwise.
I have no idea what any of that means.
That's probably for the best. A shade of amusement crosses Pradraic's face, but he manages to swiftly suppress it.
Look, it seems we are out of options here. You'll have to come with me and wait for a bit. I'll figure out what Torque wants from me, and then...
He trails off mid-sentence and stares blankly into the distance, hands joining together to spin the ring. I wave my hand in front of his face, but he doesn't even flinch. Talk about being out there. And trust me, I'm an expert on out there. After what seems like a lifetime, he finally speaks up, and I feel every drop of predictability evaporate.